This could be my all-time favourite pie. Let's go. So to make this delicious pie, we're going to need some onions. You want to chop the onions in half, remove the skins, and then dice up your onions fairly chunky. We're going to be slow cooking the pie filling for a good couple of hours, so we don't want the onion to be too small. Once you've diced up your onion nice and chunky, you want to pop a Dutch oven onto the hob. We want the heat medium to high, add a nice splash of olive oil, and then chuck in your onions. Give the onions a season with salt and pepper. Give them a good stir through, and we want to sweat down the onions and then roast them off so they start to get nice and brown. And once the onions are beautifully roasted off, we're going to need some ale. I like to use a nice pale ale for this recipe. Pour in a good glug. This will deglaze the pan. Give the onions and ale a good stir through. Make sure you burn off the alcohol and reduce the ale down by about half, and then pop your onions to one side, pop a frying pan onto the hob, and we're going to need some steak. The best steak I've found for this recipe is some good flank steak, and what you want to do is cut your steak into nice chunky pieces. We do not want it too small. Once you've prepared some nice chunky pieces of your steak, add a nice splash of olive oil to the frying pan, and when it starts to very gently smoke, lay in your steak. And we need to start by getting some really nice caramelization onto the steak. So sear off your steak, turn it a few times in the pan, and once you have some beautiful caramelization and colour, you want to pop your steak into the Dutch oven on top of your onions, and then quickly deglaze the frying pan with another little splash of your ale. Pour the liquid into the Dutch oven with the steak and the onions. Next, we want some nice rich beef stock. Pour in your beef stock until the liquid is just about covering the steak. Give it a good stir through. At this point, turn on your oven and pop it to 150 to preheat, and then we want some plain flour. Add about a tablespoon or two of your plain flour to the stock. Give it a really good stir through, and then give the pie filling a quick taste for seasoning. Add some sea salt and black pepper. Bring the pie filling up to a boil. Pop the lid on your Dutch oven, and then stick this into your preheated oven, and we're going to gently braise our pie filling for about 2 hours. So after a couple of hours, take your pie filling out of the oven, pop it on the side, allow it to cool down for 10 minutes or so, and then you want to pop the steak, the onions, and the gravy into your pie dish. Once you've filled up your pie dish with the beautiful meaty filling, allow that to fully cool down before we add our pastry so that the pastry doesn't melt. And after a few hours, we want to make a quick egg wash. So crack an egg into a small bowl and give that a really good whisking through with a fork. And then take your pie filling, and for this particular video, I'm going to be using pre-bought short crust pastry. But obviously, if you do want to make your own, that's great. Lay your pastry over the pie dish, and then you just want to cut around the edge to remove any excess pastry. And then what I like to do is take some of the excess pastry and then just line the outside of the pastry with it, just so that you've got a little bit of an extra crust on there. Also, I use the excess pastry to make some kind of pattern on the top of the pie. So take a minute to cover the top in the beautiful egg wash, and then to finish the pie, I like to give it a nice light sprinkle with some sea salt. And then chuck your pie into a preheated oven set to 180 degrees, and you want to bake your pie for about half an hour, or until the top is beautiful and golden brown. And then remove your pie from the oven, and I can assure you, you are not going to be disappointed with this beautiful steak and ale pie. So get in the kitchen, get cooking, and enjoy.